everybody, it's Romania Black and my brother here who's munching on some popcorn and keeping my dog entertained.
Yo.
And we are on episode 7 of One Piece. We only have 2 episodes to go, which is, it feels kind of crazy. We just got 2 episodes left of this season, but luckily with the writer's strike over, maybe they'll green light some season 2 goodness, get us on that. But I'm pretty excited. It's been a little while since we've watched episode 6, but episode 6 was like a nice clean, like, left off. We know what our stakes are. We gotta go get Nami. We gotta go to Arlong Park. We've got to go face off with that. And who knows what the military's gonna do? Who knows what the Navy's got in store? But I am pretty excited. I'm really excited in general. I think a lot of people I've talked to in the Discord and have seen comments about, a lot of people that are new to One Piece that have watched the live action are now getting into the manga and anime, which is exciting. It's a nice... I feel like Oda was very smart in marketing because they're like, yeah, we're going to do this 8-episode series that's going to get people interested, and then they're going to go out and get sucked into the rabbit hole that is One Piece, and then, you know, dive down into it. So that's pretty exciting. I like that. So yeah, we have ideas of where we think this series is going to go. We talked about it last week in the spoiler corner. Hopefully Huckleberry will be a little bit more jovial this week. He was a little turd last week, but we'll see. But yeah, I'm pretty excited to see how this season is going to end, where we're going to end at, but we'll just find out as we go, right? So we're not going to waste any more time, though. We are going to dive right in and see what we get with this episode of One Piece. And we've been excited, and I've been ready to watch this episode for a while now. So anything to add before we start this jaunt? Nope. All right. Nothing more to say. We're going to dive right in. So I hope you all enjoy, but we are going to start episode 7 of One Piece, the live action Netflix version. And we're going to do that here in 3, 2, 1, and let's go. Oh, well, I was expecting it to be sad. That was pretty sad. Obviously spoiler corner, but do you think they take Buggy with them? Or do you think they leave him behind and get the body and bring it back? Is Buggy going to be more trouble to take with than to leave behind? Or
the thing about Buggy's powers is, in the manga and the little shorts they did in the beginning of the chapters, his parts never reacted until his head was nearby. That's why his body isn't like shuffling around up there,
looking for it, right?
Trying to get free. It's literally just in a stasis.
It's kind of like Wi-Fi. Like, if it's not close enough, it can't react.
Yeah.
But if they potentially brought the head with them,
if the head somehow got close enough, he'd be able to get his body free, get all the parts back.
Right. So, and it looked like his whole body was just strung up on... Did you see it on the shooting game? Yeah. So it looked like it was just strung up, like, already in pieces together. So literally it just needs the head and we're fine. So I don't know. There's a part of me that thinks that they'll leave Buggy behind and bring his body back. But then there's another part of me that says they brought him along and he'll just add to the chaos. I don't know.
Well, they're not just going to leave him in Nojiko's house.
True. So they probably brought him with them. And he's going to get back to that body in the...
He probably still has the tangerine stuffed in his mouth.
That could very well be. And then he, like, pops it out when he gets there. Did they ever explain how the berry currency works? Like, what the equivalent is? Did they ever... I'm sure they have explained it in the manga at some point, like, what the USD yen to berry ratio is. Can we look that up real quick? I want to know how, like, One Piece berry to USD. Like, oh my god, someone's calculated it. It's 675 berry to 1 USD. So if oh my god, there's a calculator for it. It's hilarious. How much is 1 berry worth? So 50 berries would be worth, oh my god, not very much US dollars. Oh, somebody's trying to calculate what is 100 million berry in dollars.
What'd they get?
$39,000.
That's not that bad.
That's not that bad. You can buy a village for $39,000. Easy. Spending money's easy pickings. So wait, what's the bounty? if that's the case, so wait, you're looking at, okay, because what is, I guess this isn't a spoiler, but like, let's say, what's the highest bounty in the series is?
4 billion or so.
4 billion. So it's probably like, $250,000 there. But granted, we're thinking of like modern times here. In that world, $39,000.
In that world, they're using printed money and they also have gold coins.
Right. So if you're looking at like olden days, $39,000 in the pirate era in our time was pretty high. So that makes sense. That all makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, $1,000 back then, you pretty much the richest man in the town.
Right. So yeah. So even though it doesn't seem to us like a lot of money in the series, the show, it's quite a bit. But I love that people have actually taken the time to find the calculations for that. That's great. Of course they have. Yeah. I'm okay with Buggy being in this part of the story. We talked about it last week. It's kind of, it makes sense for him to go to where they are. But
because they don't have like Johnny and
yeah, they don't have
who know where the island is.
They don't have the extras from the manga and anime to kind of navigate us, so it makes sense for Buggy to be there as kind of a navigator, and Buggy has incentive to take them to Arlong Park because he's like, my body's there, I need to go there, so I don't care if you guys live, but I need to make it there.
And he's lucky it was these guys. Anybody else had got Buggy's head and be like, oh, you're Buggy the Clown, the guy that's worth so many million berries?
Oh, well, that's true, yeah. And because they're pirates, they can't really, I guess they could take him in. I guess it wouldn't matter.
Because Garp's the only one that knows about him.
Right, that's true.
They could technically walk into a Marine base, hand over his gagged head.
Yeah, Luffy's not well known yet, so they really could. I mean, somebody might recognize Zoro, but
they know him as a bounty hunter.
Right, he's a pirate hunter.
Which would only add to the legitimacy.
Oh, yeah! So, yeah, with that being said, Buggy is really lucky they don't just turn him in and get the money and go. He lucked out finding, like, pirates with a heart.
Well, pirates to have a use for him.
Yes, that is true.
Because based on Zoro, he wouldn't hesitate to throw him in the ocean.
Oh, yeah, no, and Buggy's lucky that Zoro's, like, loyal to Luffy to be like, okay, no, and wants to find Nami again. But no, I'm okay with Buggy being there. I think that's fine. I honestly really love the dynamic between Luffy and Sanji and Zoro in the live action. Because you have Sanji, who clearly is a little bit more like emotional, empathetic. He thinks he knows how ladies work, but he's more in tune to the emotions that Luffy is expressing, and he's more like, oh hey, what's wrong, man? And Zoro is very standoffish because that's Zoro, and so I love the idea that both of them kind of had this banter back and forth of what to do about Nami, and then Usopp's like, I'm just trying to like be a good crew member. I don't know what all you want me to do.
I'm just waiting for Zoro to go, why do we need this shit cook?
Calls him a waiter right now, which is funny. I like the waiter. So what do you think about Belmere and Nojiko and Ginkgo?
They're very in character.
Yeah, I love it. This is where the very first chapters of One Piece I ever read was Tangerine Village. Like, this is where I started the story, and I was like, what is this? Like, the very first chapter I read was when we got Belmere's history and Nojiko and Nami, and then Nami asking Luffy to help her, and he puts the hat on her head and, like, goes off, and I was like, I gotta see this story. This is awesome. I want to see more about this. So, is there any differences from the manga to this story? I feel like there's a couple little tiny things, if I remember correctly.
They got Jinzo right. Kuribo was the one that cut him up. The whole Arlong causing problems in Cocoa Village, it wasn't because of the tribute at that time. It was because Jinzo had weapons, and he claimed he was a collector. And then Usopp saves Jinzo by shooting a rotten egg into Arlong's eyes.
Oh, yeah! Oh, man!
And that causes Chu to chase after him.
And then we get, like, a bunch... We're basically simplifying a lot of the side
We also
plots.
don't see Hachi.
Yeah, Hachi is a character that's an octopus, and...
He has 6 arms.
Yes.
I think they tried to go for, like, a small nod to him with the guy with, like, the lines. Because I think Hachi had...
Yeah. I don't know if maybe they're just saving Hachi or if they're going to incorporate him later because he's kind of like a different type of character.
He comes back later as like a friend.
Yeah, he's more of an ally later on in the story.
But it does sadden me he's not there because he was one of Zoro's I don't want to say a big fight, but he was Zoro's fight in the.
And maybe they're saving him. Maybe he's gonna show up next episode and just pop up as one of his men and be like, "I'm here to fight Zoro," but I don't know. We got an hour to wrap it up, so.
I mean, Zoro. He had a reason to fight Zoro. Zoro tricked him. Zoro was originally captured because Usopp and Johnny left him when the fishermen were coming after him.
Oh.
He cuts up all the men in Arlong's park.
So we've got kind of like all those plots that have been abandoned that would have gave reason for him to fight him.
And he tells Hachi, "Yeah, I'm one of Arlong's friends. Can you give me a lift over to the other village?" And he does. In an octopus pot.
You know what? People were like, we were talking in the Discord about how this series is so kooky and how it's got a live action adaptation. I'm like, yes. And they've kept the outfits, the hair, all the kooky elements, but there's a lot they cut out that was really kooky.
And I can understand, I mean, having to do CGI work with a guy with 6 arms sword fighting with that many arms. That's something you use when you got like a bigger budget. Yeah, which their budget's pretty huge, but and plus if you're gonna cut out those side plots, then it's kind of like, well, what was the point of him fighting him if you didn't have all that build up to it? So because that was kind of the whole reason why he was mad at Zoro, was because he tricked him. So yeah, it just kind of makes sense why they would sort through it. I do love the transition of Belmere playing cards with them to Nami playing cards with them. I thought that was really good, and her collecting all the money. Yeah, that guy with the line. Yeah. Oh, his toy. Looks being unreasonable. But yeah, because where's Buggy at? We just saw him. Yeah, they've literally just got Buggy strung up in one of the games. Arlong Park pretty much looks like this in the manga, doesn't it? It's literally like an amusement park, or is it more... It's not actually an amusement park. No. It's more of, they got like a big rectangular pool with some gates going out to sea. And Arlong sits like in this like beach chair right in front of it. It's not really much of an amusement park, but I love what they did with it because it kind of shows, hey, we're the fishermen, we're gonna party here and then go out and destroy somewhere. Yeah, it's definitely the party atmosphere. It kind of adds to the vibe of it. It makes it kind of like kooky. Like, of course they're gonna celebrate whenever they like take over a village, kill a couple of little girls' parents. I love the idea that Belmere was ex-Marine and that she... Yeah, she was ex-Marine. Yeah, I love that idea that she was an ex-Marine, and then the fact that Arlong knew it is interesting, but... Well, he could have probably the rifle. Well, yes, that's true. The rifle would have gave it away. That's true. It would have had like some kind of Marine signal on it. That's true. And then basically the promise in the manga is the same as this. It's the idea that she wants the money to free the village, and that's what she's been working towards. The only difference is in the manga and anime... They know. The village knows. Yes. Yes! Okay. That's because everybody was really sad when it gets taken away because they know how hard she's been working and they've been going along with it. And that's what inspires them all to start a rebellion against him. Yes, that's right. Well, now Nojiko knows, so she could go tell everybody about it. But yeah, I forgot they did all know in the story and they kind of like went along with it. Don't know. This whole scene, can we talk about the dinner scene with Garp and just Garp and Helmeppo and Zeph? I got a whole bunch of steaks in the back and a cooler that's busted. Be ashamed to let all that good marbling go to waste. Oh my god, I did not think I would ever see Zeph and Garp share a scene together. And I kind of like it. It's an old retired pirate meeting a old... Too stubborn to go into retirement Marine. Yes. And then the idea that since Garp knows Gold Roger, it hints a little bit. It gives a lot of hints to the fact that Gold Roger and Garp may have had a relationship that was beyond just him taking him to the gallows. That it could have been more than that. I like Zeph and him history. I just love the idea that Garp's eating all this steak and then Helmeppo and Kobe and Bogart just have to stand to the side. Because he said he had 12 steaks. So you're like, oh, well, there's 4 guys there. That's like 3 steaks apiece. No. They don't get anything. They don't get a thing. I was really hoping he'd be like, before you go, is your grandson's tab? Oh, with the IOU. That would have been amazing. But just be like, damn brat. Yes, no. I mean, but then I'm sure Zeph thought that Luffy kind of paid his due, right?
and did that. I love Sanji and Zoro's kind of like, do we help them out? Do we try to find out more? And I like Luffy's Sherlocking it, like seeing Ojiko run off.
He was kind of like that when they got to, and then she kept telling him to leave, and he was just like, nah, I don't feel like going right now.
Yep.
And we're going back to who's the anime protagonists in the group.
Oh my god!
You could point out Chico and Nami from like a mile away in that crowd.
Yeah, like the bright blue hair and the bright blue hair and the tangerine hair. Like everybody else is like in the most drab colors.
And then you got Zoro and then walking up with green.
Yes.
Bright red shirts, all that.
You know what? People are just special. That's why Arlong found them, because they're the ones that stuck out. Belmere had the red hair. They all just stuck out from the crowd. This is the problem. I do like the actor that plays Jinzo. He looks exactly the part. I love the past version of him, and then the one from the present. That whole transition worked really well. And the idea of Nami, stealing as a kid for her own self, but then later we transition her stealing for the sake of the village, right? She just doesn't want to admit it. And then her trying to tell Luffy and them. And I was like, girl, Luffy is a Taurus. He is not going to back down. He is stubborn to the max. You are not going to convince him. Once he's decided you are part of his crew, you are not part of that crew ever. He's like, we'll never give up on you. Nope. Absolutely not. I also love, did Sanji woo Nojiko in the anime or manga?
No.
I loved that.
They briefly met Nojiko. But then Luffy goes to the town. He's sitting under a tree. He's thinking of a pinwheel on Jinzo's hat.
Yes.
And coming up with a new move. When Nezumi shows up, wanting to go to Tangerine Grove.
Yeah, Nezumi. Oh my god, with the little mouse ears.
Well, that's what he had in there.
Right, they're just so fuzzy.
And he had whiskers.
And he had whiskers on this too. You can kind of see him with the makeup. Yeah, I love the idea of Sanji like Sanji. The best part was watching Zoro throughout this whole scene, because Sanji's like doing his best to like woo her with the food, being like, I can make you all kinds of meals. And Sanji's face is just like, oh my god, are you kidding me? Like, this is actually gonna work. He's like, this is actually gonna work. I like Usopp's in the back like,
he's a waiter.
Oh my god, yes. But I just love that Sanji woos her, and Zoro's just like, I can't believe that this is actually something that worked.
I hope we get to Tashigi.
Oh my god, I don't know, but it's just great. It makes me excited to see more banter between Zoro and Sanji, because their dynamic in the series is so great, because they're like best friends with Luffy, but they like each other, but they don't want to admit it. They respect each other, they don't want to admit it. They're just like, you. And it's just like one of those iconic duo back and forths. It's so good. But I am loving Helmeppo and Kobe as a duo. Oh my god. I love Helmeppo just sitting there like, and him trying to tell Kobe that his dad went there to eat all the time, but he's like, well, I didn't get invited myself. It's like, poor Helmeppo. I
just love that he gives them drinks, because he thinks, okay, I'm going to get some okay secret that maybe I could use, and then he just blurts out, Garp is Luffy's grandpa, and he's just like, okay, that was not on the list of things.
Oh my god! I love that Kobe, sweet summer child, innocent lamb Kobe, was taking shots.
He took 2 shots and it loosened the lips.
And he took a third one when he told him. He took 2 shots and he took a third one. Like, Luffy's his grandfather. I just never thought I would see in One Piece Kobe drinking with Helmeppo at the Barati. Never thought I'd see it, right? Okay, I do want something to remind me, spoiler corner, something with Zeph when he's talking about Garp and Luffy and them. Yeah, Nezumi just showing up. What a rat. I love that Oda uses like animals to symbolize certain characters. Like if you have a character that'll be coming up, we'll talk about in a minute. But Nezumi being a rat, you've had like, I don't know, even the name Buggy is just kind of like he's a bug. It's like, Ruby has taken Huckleberry's toy, and it's a travesty. But yeah, I love, the flashback was so sad. The one difference I do remember is that when Belmere gets shot, it's out in the Tangerine Grove in the manga and anime. It's not in the house.
She actually knocks him down, and this was removed from the 4Kids.
Oh, yeah.
Version, but she actually shoves the gun muzzle into his mouth.
Yeah. Oh my God, I forgot 4Kids. Yeah, they censored the crap out of that.
It was gonna like pull the trigger on the inside of his mouth, but he like bit the gun.
Yes, he bit the gun and then he shot her. Yeah, because she was ex-Marine, so of course she was like, "No, screw you." And this, which I get the whole thing here is to tie that she was a mom to them and to go back to like rectify when she slapped Nami earlier. But yeah, in the manga, she was about to like kick Arlong's ass, and then he bit the gun, and they kind of like they kind of hint at that. They're like, "Don't get bit by Arlong." They kind of like throw some hints of things that could come in this episode, and I was like, "Oh no."
Well, that's what he did with his wanted poster when it appeared on the screen.
Yeah, I chomped it.
He's a sawtooth shark.
Yes, the girl with the sawtooth tattoo. I like that whenever Luffy wants to go think about something, he climbs to like the little highest point. Like he's always on the ship on the top of the Going Merry head, and here he's with Zoro. I also love that he kind of throws back to Zoro. He's like, "Well, we can't give up on Nami. I didn't give up on you." And Zoro's like, "God damn it." Can't beat that logic.
And how he knew Nami had something going on, because he knew Zoro was a good friend to have. He knew Usopp, and he knew Sanji, which he still doubts.
And we know that Zoro heard from Nami everything she told him before she left, so he knows that it's the right thing to do. He's just trying to be like, what do we do about all this? God, the bar scene with Helmeppo and Kobe is absolutely wonderful. I love it. It's so good. And then, yeah, Bogart gets nothing. Bogart gets nothing out of this trip. He doesn't get any drinks. He doesn't get any steak.
You should see him at a curry shop.
Yes! I just love Garp. And I love that Kobe's like, "I should have known they both like meat so much." Like, that's how he knew that Kobe and Luffy and Garp were related. He's like, "I should have connected the dots.
They don't share their food."
I should have connected the dots sooner. I just love Kobe being like buzzed and being like, "I should have connected it." And Helmeppo's like, "I did not see this coming. I thought you were going to share something crazy.
I thought you were going to be some secret that I could use against you, but crap, if I spill the beans, Garp will have my head."
Yep. And then I liked that so, what's he doing? The bartender ends up telling them where to go. They would convince the bartender. And then Zeph, because I like that Zeph's like, "Come on now, don't be going after them and trying to hurt poor Luffy or Masanji." I love the execution of the entire scene with Arlong. Like, everything there was really good. I liked all of that. I thought that was great. I liked the whole scene with Nojiko and her. I do wish they had done more like the anime and manga, like with Belmere versus Arlong, but I get it why they didn't. They didn't have time. But that is the one thing. If you get to go back and see the manga and anime for these chapters, the manga and anime for these chapters are some of my favorite. I think of this entire arc, this part's probably my favorite. I don't know what yours is, but I think this part's of the beginning until we get to the end of where we think the season is ending. Of all the things that happen between Zoro and Usopp and Sanji and Nami joining, this is probably my favorite arc.
Yeah.
I think of all of them.
Yeah, for the first part of the story, yeah, this is the top tier, because this is where you get like the biggest and the strongest of the East Blue.
Mm-hmm. And it makes sense this would be the climax, would be this part of the arc before we transition to the next phase. That all makes perfect sense. I like that. And then Arlong and them deciding to story of the village. What a badass! She just went to town on that. I mean, in the manga and anime, it's like she stabs the hell out of it, but she just I figured there'd be more blood with how she just like chunks it in. And then Luffy's like, "I got my badass crew. We're gonna go kick their ass because they made Nami cry. You don't make my crew members cry. No, sorry, Bob. Nope." I've got some spoil. Oh, you go ahead.
And that would be the first time Arlong and Luffy meet. This will be the second time.
Oh, because in the anime manga, he hadn't met Arlong before.
No.
Before this,
he had met Hachi, Kurobo, and Chu because he was walking down a path. They were walking the other way, and Hachi's like, "Hey, where are you?" He goes, "I'm just a guy that likes to take a walk." He goes, "Oh, have a nice day."
What's it with these main characters and their enthusiastic walks?
Then when he knocks down the gate, Hachi's just like, That's the guy that likes to take walks.
Yes! I'm sad they don't have Hachi now because that's such a good moment. Man. Boo. Dang it. So before we get into spoilers, is there anything else worth mentioning in general?
No, they kind of changed Chu's look.
A little bit. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because he had like a bit of a stalk out where his mouth was. But I'm cool with it.
Yeah, it's fine. All right, so we're going to talk a little bit of spoilers throughout this. Just a wee bit. The part where, do we think she was shackled up at the beginning? Is that why they made a reference to the chains by where the maps and stuff were?
She was held in a room where she was supposed to do cartography until she could go out and start stealing money.
That's what I thought too, because they did the zoom in on the chains. I was like, are they trying to reference that she was shackled up for a while she was drawing her maps? I couldn't remember, so that makes sense. Well, I want to talk a little bit of spoilers before we conclude this week. So if you're not sticking around for the spoiler corner, I hope y'all enjoyed this reaction discussion. This episode had my heart, but I am ready for next week to see what's going to happen with the Marines catching up to Arlong Park. It's going to be interesting. How we going to do that? We'll see. But in any case, I hope y'all have a wonderful week. Stay safe. Take care. But we're going to do spoiler corner, and if not, I'll see y'all next week for the finale of One Piece, the live action. So, if you are sticking around for the spoiler corner, I just had a couple things that I was like, there's no point in even talking about them until we get to the spoilery corner here. So, Zeph and Garp have not met, right? In the anime or manga? No, they have not.
Garp never came in until Water 7. Up till now, he was just these little side stories at the beginning. But we didn't know who he was. All we knew is that he had a dog hat. They kept his eyes shadowed and his mouth uncovered, and he actually did let Morgan escape because he fell asleep standing right in front of him. And that's let Morgan get like a free shot in on him. You know, right? What do you think are they just going to show up right at the end after Luffy's kicked Arlong's ass and take him into custody? Do we think that's what's going to happen? I think so. I think they're going to find out about Nezumi too then. And Kim, yes, find out that he's been taking bribe money, and that would make sense. Yeah. Because, remind me, Arlong in the anime and manga, did he have any type of, other than with Nezumi, did he have any say with the Marines, or was he just paying Nezumi off? He was just paying Nezumi to, like, botch the reports. That everything was fine there. Yes. Okay, that's what I thought. And I was trying to remember while the episode was going. I was like, I think this is how this is. But, yeah. So if Garp shows up and finds Nezumi and is like, what have you been doing wrong? Then, be like, ta-da. I'm surprised they brought up Jinbei this soon. I was like, oh, we're bringing up Jinbei now? Well, I was like, ooh. Johnny brought him up in the manga and anime saying that there was a warlord who turned Arlong loose. Yeah, and that was Jinbei. And then he promptly spat on Jinbei in this episode and was just like, psh. Well, Jinbei agreed to be a type of representative as a warlord for the fishmen. Him and Arlong served under the same crew. Right, because they have the sun tattoos and everything. Well, the sun tattoos were originally slave marks. Right, and then Tiger Fisher kind of altered it. Yes. And then they joined his crew, and where Fisher had one human crew member. Which was Koala, right? Yes. Yeah, and Koala's Basabo, yes. Yep. Which is kind of funny because it makes sense of why Arlong took Nami in, because you have Koala and Nami kind of parallels there a wee bit, that he was okay with it. What's so interesting to me is that you have Arlong, who at the very beginning here in the story is kind of this representative of a bad representative for the fish people, because he kills a bunch of people, he just loots, he's not a good representative of that group of people. But then when you go underwater and you get to the mermaid kingdom, and then you see here the princess and everything, and then you see all these other fish people, you're like, oh, well, it's not what we thought, but based on Arlong. Something that stuck out to me is what Nezumi said in their little meeting, that the slavery was abolished. Yeah, it's not! The celestial dragons are still there! That's something that's on my mind. That why would you say it was abolished when the celestial dragons are allowed to have slaves? Yes! I was when he was going on about that,
I was like, wait a minute, no! The celestial dragons have slaves like in this world all the time. So I don't know if maybe that's just he was trying to like say we here with the fish people aren't using them here as slaves anymore, but we're not going to bring up the celestial dragons yet because that's like a whole host of problem is the celestial dragons. I feel like they're not going to bring up the celestial dragons till we get to Monkey D. Dragon, till we get to the revolutionaries and bring them up. I don't feel like they're going to. I wouldn't be surprised if they wait until we get to, because where do we go where we first meet all the celestial dragons, where Luffy like punches one? Where do we go? Is that
that's Sabadi Park?
Yes,
that's
Sabadi
also
Park.
where we find the slave auction house.
Yes, it would not surprise me if they saved the entire notion of celestial dragons until that moment, and then bring it all out and be like, look how shitty this is, and it's still going on, and be like, oh.
And Luffy pretty much just says, screw the world, what the world government says. You shot my friend Hachi over here. And
that would be... See, that's the thing, too. Hachi has a big role at that point because he
gets shot because a friend of theirs who's a mermaid is about to be sold.
Yes. Yeah.
He gets shot by the world noble. Hachi tries to tell Luffy, don't do it, don't do it. They'll call the admirals here.
Yep. So that's why I'm curious. Maybe they'll introduce Hachi at a different time to build up to that. Or maybe they'll have Hachi come in and Luffy befriend him and it's a thing. And then that's when we get to Sabadi Park. Because Sabadi, that's pretty far into the story, though.
That is right. That is directly behind the 2-year skip.
That's right before the time skip. Yeah, so it's a ways away.
Before Amazon Lily and the Marineford.
Yeah, so it's a ways away. Because Amazon Lily, I have the volume of it. It's volume 53. It's Amazon Lily, which they're on like 100 so volumes now. So it's like, I mean, this part of the manga is only like volume like what, 8 or 9, if that. Yeah. So I mean, you're looking at like that's like 5-6 seasons down the road. So I could see them maybe waiting on Hachi and introducing him later and just saying, oh yeah, he was at Arlong Park, and then be like, where was he? And then he was an extra and we just didn't know about it.
Or he was away.
Yeah, they could do that and say, oh, I wasn't there, but I heard about Arlong Park, and I was one of his pirates, and then introduce him that way. Yeah. Because, I mean, that's a big commitment to get an actor to play Hachi now, and then expect, like, 6 seasons later, be like, you want to come back and play this guy again from, like, 6 years ago? And he'd be like, what? So it would make sense that they just hold off and don't have him, hired until later. That part makes sense. Loving Zoro and Sanji's banter. Loving Nojiko. Building up him being flirty. Love that. The whole thing with Bogard. Okay, the thing I want to bring up with them, they're talking about the worst generation. That's what they were building. Zeph was like, oh, there's this new generation, the new pirates. It's the worst generation, which is everybody currently. Like, we have Law and Kid and Luffy and Marco and, like, all them.
And my favorite, Beige.
Beige. Oh, he's your favorite?
The Castle fruit is highly underrated. You turn yourself into, basically, Final Fantasy VIII Alexander, which was the summoning that was the giant moving castle.
I mean, one of my favorite characters is Law, so I honestly... Hey, buddy, come here, bring it here. I honestly would love to see who they cast for Law, because Law and Luffy's dynamic is like, if Zoro and Luffy were not friends, that's Law and Luffy.
But Luffy still saw him as friends.
Yes, and then Law's like, I don't like you, and Luffy's like, but you were best friends, the best. It's like Vegeta and Goku. Yeah, Law and Luffy's relationship is like Vegeta and Goku's. It's from a bridge. Basically.
I love the meme somebody makes of like these two like knights fighting, and they're both like the enemy with a plan, Law with a plan. Then you just have like this random barbarian coming down. Luffy, what's a plan?
What's a plan? Yes. God. But Law's one of my favorite characters. He's so freaking cool. I love him. I love his ability. And I love his dynamic where he's so no nonsense, but then he gets put in the middle of a crew that is absolute nonsense. And he's just like, I don't know what's happening. But he has Beppo. He has like the bear first mate. I'm like, what? It's great. Yeah, I'm excited for that. But when he mentioned like the generation, I was like, you're talking about the worst generation. I love it. And I liked Garp's kind of vulnerability here, where he was just like, I don't want my grandson to get hurt. Because when he compared him to Gold Roger, it's like, well, even Bogard was like, comparing him to Gold Roger, are we?
Well, we end up finding out later that Gold Roger's real name was Gold
D.
D.
Roger. Yeah. I love that he's just throwing around Monkey D. Luffy and nobody's not going to question the D until later. But yeah, Gold D. Roger. And they've been smart. They've not said Gold D. Roger because they've not brought up the Will of D or any of that.
They don't want anybody to know about the whole Will of D.
Right.
That's one of the big conspiracies of the world government. We don't want people knowing about the whole enemy of God thing.
We don't want to know about people that could possibly be a threat.
Especially since Rox was a pirate with D in his name, too.
Mm-hmm. And so is Law. Law is one, too.
Water D Law, and then
Waterley Law.
Edward D. Teach.
Oh, all the D's are, it's Luffy, it's Law, it's Blackbeard, it's Dragon, it's Garp. It was Portia, who's Ace's mom, and it was Ace. And then, other than Rox, are there only 8 so far?
That we know of.
That we know of, yeah. I don't think that there's any other ones. Was there like a Jaguar or something?
Jaguar D. Saul.
Oh, Saul, yeah Saul was one.
He was one too, but he died saving Robin.
Yes.
From Akoji.
Mm-hmm. Oh my god. We haven't even got to Akainu and Akoji and like all of those guys.
The only thing,
oh my god.
The only thing we know about D's is that their deaths have led to a significant event.
Yes.
Like Saul died saving Nico Robin, who would go on to find out the poneglyphs and start to learn about the 0 century.
And then obviously Ace and Portia.
Ace and Roger, who both died, and then their deaths started an entire new era.
I don't know. I don't think... Do you think Luffy's going to die at the end of One Piece?
It's going to be a very long time. I think he's going to be like... almost like what how Roger went, except he's not going to be captured by the Marines.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if he's going to die or not in the series. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. But I thought that was really good. I liked them bringing that up with the two of them. Just the two of us. I did like the whiskey comment with Garp where he's like, you could have just gotten whiskey out. You didn't have to waste this like fancy wine and do all of this. So we think that Buggy's gonna go with them in the next episode.
I think his head's gonna somehow get there.
Yeah. Now here's the question though. If Buggy goes with them and gets reattached to his body, is he gonna help Luffy and them at all? Or is he just gonna be like,
hell no, he's gonna get the hell out of there.
He's gonna run away, right?
Those guys know his weakness.
Yes. So then the question is, when is Garp and Kobe and them gonna show up? Is it gonna be during the battle with Arlong, at the end of the battle with Arlong?
I bet while they're fighting, Buggy's going to get his body. He's going to run. He's going to be like, okay, I need to go over this way. I need to get to, and then he's going to see the Marine ship going right toward the Mary. And then he's going to be like, I need to go that way.
So that would keep him from stealing the Going Merry as if he...
Yeah.
So the big question is, though, like, if they run into the Marines, how are they getting out in the Going Merry from the Marines if they show up? Like, how is the ship not going to get confiscated?
Unless
is Kobe gonna let him go?
Him or Garp?
Him or Garp. And now Helmeppo knows. So, but Helmeppo doesn't really care. He's just like, whatever.
Well, because he knows if he blabs about it, that's gonna be Garp having his skin.
Right, because he made the example about getting the arm chopped off. I'm honestly curious because I'm curious about where they're going to end it at. I'm curious how they're going to connect the Marine plot to Luffy's plot because you know they're going to intersect next episode. Is Buggy going to run away? Probably. Is he going to get caught by the Marines? Probably not. Are they going to give us any more cameos of Smoker or anybody else before we go and leave this? I don't know.
So. I hope we get to see Tashigi just to see like Sanji see like Tashigi showing more interest in Zoro than him, and he's just like, the hell did you do, shitty swordsman?
I'm ready for I mean, we haven't gotten a lot with Luffy and Sanji yet, but I'm ready for Amazon Lily and for Hancock and for Sanji to be like, you were on an island with that?
I don't see the problem.
He was like, what?
You get to spend time with Iva.
He's like, ah! Oh my god, yes. Well, that was a very emotional and good episode. That was good backstory on Nami. It was neat seeing that put into live action, something I've seen like 15 years ago. So that's pretty cool. I liked that. And then, yeah, the whole thing with Kobe and Helmeppo and Garp is like, it's such a fever dream, and I'm all about it. I feel like Odo is like going, sure, let Kobe take shots. Why not? Get some hair on his chest. Go on. That's great. I love it. Anything else spoiler-wise?
No.
I'm pretty excited to see what's going to happen, if we're going to see Hachi or not. Or if they're just going to be like, but I'm here for it. So, sad we only have one episode left, and then we have to wait on season 2.
Yep.
Sad days. But I have a feeling it's going to be here quicker than the 7 years that they worked on season 1. I feel like it's going to be a little bit quicker than that. So, especially because it's been like #1 for how many weeks? Like, it's been very, very popular. So.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you all for sticking around to our discussions. I hope you all enjoyed this reaction and discussion here for next week. But next week's the season finale. Huzzah! But in the meantime, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yeah, we'll be back very soon with more of One Piece. Bye!